Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tech Talk with Atmosoft, the live stream that delves into the latest trends and insights in the tech and software world. I'm your host, Natasha, the social media manager at Atmosoft, and today we've gathered experts from our team to discuss the pivotal topics in today's digital world integration. Joining me are Brandon, one of our talented developers, and Bill, our COO and solutions architect. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey, thank you. Glad
Hello.
to be here.
Yeah. Okay, so let's dive in. Bill, can you kick things off by explaining what integration means in the context of software systems?
Sure. So integration in the context of software systems basically means taking two systems that weren't originally designed to work together and getting them to basically work together, exchange data, or integrate together. So you can get a unified view of your data, and or you could take or just so you could kind of manage your data a little bit better. So the integration, systemic integration, is just basically taking two systems that weren't necessarily intended to work together, which most systems have the plugin with the API layer. So you have the API exposed, so they're set up to have integration points, and then connecting it with another system or connecting it with some internal software.
That was a fantastic overview, Bill. Brandon, as a developer, what does integration mean to you and what's its importance?
Integration is kind of like connecting to like islands, I guess. Like they're two very separate things, and you have to connect them together and have them work together. And it's really important, especially in today's world, with everyone having their own kind of separate technologies, and then they're all expected to work together over the internet.
Yeah. I
Good
also
answer.
think as there's more and more custom softwares going on, we're having people paying for more things to assist them in different realms of their business. So integration is more important now than ever because of the fact that we want it to be easy for the end user to use it and be able to move forward and see all the data on the dashboard easily and to make decisions that way.
Agree. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, agreed.
That was a and then that's an interesting perspective, Brandon. Now, Bill, as a solutions architect, how does integration factor into your work when crafting solutions for clients?
Okay, so this is going to be specific to exactly what the client is asking for. So always you want to take into consideration, what is the client asking for, and is that what they actually want? So a lot of times you have to do some exploration with the client that involves conversations and interviews to try to get to the core of the problem that they're actually trying to solve. Sometimes they'll think that the problem is one thing and it ends up being something else. And so if you just immediately jump and solve that problem, you're going to run into the issue when you're done. They're not going to be happy because that wasn't actually what they wanted you to do. So that's a key point right there. Or I just want to make that point. And so when I look at it, first it's the problem statement, which is we need our QuickBooks application to speak to the website for invoicing, right? So the idea there would be we want to find some type of connector or some type of integration that we can do with QuickBooks so that we can feed that data over to the website. And then we start going a little bit deeper and we decide kind of what that integration looks like. Are we going to do are we going to pull QuickBooks and pull data over to our web application so that the web application is just going to run, it's going to read from certain tables to get populated from QuickBooks? Are we going to try to do a real-time integration with QuickBooks where on demand, the user clicks a button and we go out and we pull all their invoices out of QuickBooks and we display them on the web page? So that's kind of what I do is try to figure out and make sure that we're solving the right problem, number one. And then number two, I start designing around the type of integration we have. Again, yesterday we discussed that database integration you want to try to avoid because you're bypassing all the business logic of maybe an off-the-shelf application like Salesforce or Microsoft Dynamics or those type of products. You really want to go through their API because you don't want to bypass the business logic and just write directly to the tables. And then you have API integration, which is better, and you're going to be following all the business rules for that application. Then tying those two applications together, then you need to kind of make decisions around what data do we need? Do we want to pull that data real time, or do we want to every night we're going to run a batch process, and we're going to move over all the invoices that were processed that day over into the website for display for our end user.
Yeah. I also think it's just ultimately comes down to like we are trying to make it easier for the client, not harder. So it should be solving your problems, not making your workflow more difficult in the long run. And I think that's why you want to choose over the data integration, is because like ultimately that's going to make it more difficult for the client because all the logic is no longer going to be moved over to there, if I'm
Right,
correct.
right. And you may insert data that, you could actually insert data into the database that actually makes the application crash. So if I was
Yeah.
to say in QuickBooks, for example, I've not done a QuickBooks integration, so I'm just guessing, but I'm
Mhm.
assuming there's some type of invoicing object that you can work with through their API.
Mhm.
And let's just say we were running a local copy of QuickBooks. We weren't using QuickBooks Online, and we were writing record into, whatever backend QuickBooks actually uses, and we're writing records in there, and we're not, data checking them the same way that QuickBooks would. Then when the application boots up and you try to load a record or you try to load a screen, the app may crash because you just didn't know that, oh, I was supposed to toggle this flag in this other table too when this record is in a certain state, and then the record's in an unknown state, and the app will crash. So you got to be really careful there.
Yeah. Insightful as always, Bill. Brandon, can you share with us a time when you've seen integration greatly benefit a project you've worked on?
Sure. I'm going to kind of use the same example I used yesterday with the integration on our client. That one greatly sped up data integration processes that we had to run for that client. So the integration just by itself just kind of greatly increased the speed at which we could do those.
Yeah, when we started, what was the timing on before we started looking at this?
It was
How long
hours. It was like
hours.
6+
Yeah,
hours.
what do we have it down to now?
A few minutes.
Yeah, yeah. And so there too, Tasha, a good example of integration, right? Because of the way that we're integrating, we can't hit the system in real time because we can't add additional load onto the system that's being used internal into the organization. So we can't hit that real time. So we're copying data over in the evening, usually around 1 a.m., so that we can use it in the website the next day. And let's just say for some reason they make a change that needs to go out to the website immediately. So we have to, we weren't able to perform the sync, or we shouldn't perform the sync during the day because it was deleting data and then re-adding data into tables. And some of those tables were pretty large. And so for hours, the website may not be, 100% correct while we're replacing that data. So by improving that process, and getting it down to minutes, we reduce the amount of downtime for the application. We actually took steps to the way we do it now is we copy the table directly from the account, or sorry, I don't want to say that. We copy the data directly from the backend system into a staging table in the web application. And then we run a stored procedure, which does insert updates and deletes. We don't just delete all the rows out of the table and then re-add them, which is the way the original process worked.
Well, that sounds like a fantastic example of how integration can help any type of company, but especially in the automotive dealer group area, because of the fact that we're able to cut down time so much and hopefully take less busy work off of people's plates that just tend to not have the time for it.
Yep.
So let's move on to the next thing. Finally, I'd like to ask you both, what does the future look like for integration? Bill, why don't you start?
Sure. Okay. So I think actually, and this is good. I think the future is integration.
Mhm.
I think as we've come up in the industry, so I started back when computers were my first personal computer that I bought myself with my money for graduating from high school from my grandfather, was a TRS 80 from Radio Shack. Right, that thing cost me $2,200 back in 1994. Okay, so everything's come way down. Computers have spread and proliferated everywhere. So and as we progress through the decades that I've been in the industry, we're starting to see there are companies that are solving the base problem. A good example would be a company called PCMI. They do they have an extended warranties management platform. Okay.
Mhm.
And so now any company that wants to be in the extended warranty space, instead of having to roll their own software, can now use PCMI software to do that, and then they don't have to do that development.
Mhm.
Where why I think integration is a big part of the future is because I think companies are going to be more into buying the PCMI platform, and we're going to host our extended warranties on this particular platform, and we're not going to have an internal development team, but we're gonna hire developers as a service, Atomosoft or another company to come in and then take that data outside of PCMI and integrate it in with our other systems, like our back-end accounting system. Maybe that's not online, or maybe we have to kind of shape the data the way it comes in. So I think in the future you'll see integration becoming more of a deal, and that's going to be more of our day-to-day work, where companies are buying a base version of a software, and maybe they're adding some stuff on top of it. Maybe they're pulling data and collecting it for, so they can pull into other systems. So I think integration will be big. So I think in the future, what you'll see is maybe a company has, Salesforce, and maybe they have, Dynamics as an accounting system, not the CRM version, or sorry, it's not Dynamics. It was called Navision. I think they changed the name of it though. So they'll have a back end system, and then you'll need to get those two systems talking together and making sure that you're exchanging data well, and get them hooked up together. Maybe for reporting or for whatever reason. So I think integration is going to be really big in the future, because a lot of companies are just going to be buying. I'm going to buy these 5 software packages. They're going to get me 85% of the way there, and then that last 15% will be integration.
Yeah,
Yep.
it comes down to like the same thing we've been saying with authentication, right? Like there's someone else who's like dedicating their whole career to it. Why not just pay them an amount of money for something that's going to work and work very well,
And
rather
not
than
get
trying to
you
make your
messed
own?
up. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
agree with that 110%. I understand authentication. I know where it works, but I have not written my own authentication library. And to be honest with you, I probably wouldn't.
Yeah,
You get that wrong, and
so
yeah,
much.
it's
It's
a
way
big deal, especially
Yeah,
authentication authorization. You get that wrong, and you could expose your whole entire organization and all of your customer data, and that is never a good situation for a company to be in.
yeah. Anyways, Brandon, what are your thoughts about integration
I
being the future?
mostly agree with Bill. Like as we're seeing this trend of people or companies like abstracting away more and more aspects of having a website. Like it used to be, each website was kind of this big monolith on its own, and it was
Mhm.
all internally hosted. And now it's all like you can technically still do that, but you could also just go to Microsoft or AWS and have them do most of it, or like Squarespace.
Yeah, yeah,
But like you can abstract away and just buy all these packages and stuff, so you don't have to do it yourself, or you have to do very minimal work yourself. But then all those technologies have to kind of work together, and be integrated together to provide a seamless, good customer experience, user
yeah,
experience.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's very important. I think a lot of stuff is becoming less and less in-house and more like outsourced as things continue to go on, because there used to be a bunch of bookkeepers, like there was accounting departments, but now there's like fewer accountants, and like everyone just uses QuickBooks or something, right? Like it's all just like automated. Like a lot of it can be automated now, and why would you waste the money on doing it the harder way?
Right. Yeah. That's exactly it. And it's a good point that you can get to. You can get most of the way there, but chances are you're not going to get all the way there.
Yeah.
Right? No software package that is built to be sold to multiple people is going to fit your organization 100%. You're probably going to get 85. If you're lucky, 95. You might even be able to get to up to like 99%. But there's going to be some things about that app that just don't exactly match your business. And then you have two choices. You can change your business process, or you can go ahead and you can pay a development as a service company to come in and kind of get you in a better spot with the integration, and kind of bridge that little bit of that gap. And then, you're not running custom software. You don't need a team of developers behind. Well, I mean, if you're a company, you want a team of developers, that's your call, right? But you wouldn't need a a bunch of developers behind you to, maintain your custom software. I don't disagree with a lot of companies that went the custom software route. I mean, that's where we were, right? But as we're evolving, that trend is changing, and a lot of companies that I talk to, that aren't, they're in the automotive extended warranty space, right? And they're talking, and we're having conversations, and what I hear is we don't want to be a development company, and that's great, right? That's great. And you offload all of that work and that cost over to another company that is specializing in it. And just like authentication and the PCMI example, right? They have an extended warranty platform. They're taking care of all the regulations. They're all the liabilities on them. All the authentication is on them. All the pressure, development pressure is on them. And that can be a good thing. But you have to realize there's a trade-off here where you lose control of that. So for example, one of the clients we work with, they have their own system and they're currently in the process of migrating. And when they get onto this other system, one of the things I think that they might not realize is when the work we do for them is super responsive. A customer calls in, they have an issue. Brandon and I go in and get it resolved as quickly as possible, sometimes minutes, sometimes maybe a couple hours, and get that taken care of. We get the patch out to production, do whatever work we need to do there. And you're going to lose that. So you're going to lose that. Yeah, we can add that feature. Yeah, we can add this. Yeah, we can do that. Oh, we really want this one dealer group to be a customer for our extended warranty, so we're going to promise them this. You lose that capability, which could be critical in especially in a customer service based industry like extended warranties. They want to sell warranties. So when a dealership says we have this request, the company we work for is very receptive and usually says yes, we'll do that for you. When you move over to that platform, you don't get that anymore. You got to go to a platform like PCMI. You got to say, hey, can we for this particular dealer or set of dealers or this dealer group, can we do XYZ? And then they may come back and say no, we're not adding that to the system. Or they may come back and say it's going to be a month, right?
Yeah.
We got to schedule this into a sprint, and then we'll sprint on it. Then it's got to go through testing, and so there is that minor drawback, and I want to make sure people involved in companies are aware of that. There is a drawback. You're trading some of your flexibility, but I think at the end of the day, the cost savings there that may be worth it, and I think a lot of customers would understand. Right, we're using this platform. We asked the platform to make this change for you. They said it's going to take 2 months, and I think a lot of companies would be like, oh, okay, we'll find a workaround until that feature's in place. But if that's a core to your business, is I want 24-hour turnaround on any customer issues that have to do with the platform itself or the application itself. I want 24, 48-hour turnaround or whatever. I want it quick. Then you need to think about your outsourcing of that onto that platform.
Yeah, you get you're trading out like maybe the ability to get stuff done faster and more agile in order for the convenience of what purchasing just like a software system that has all that set up already.
Right.
It's like with our experience with GoDaddy, right? Like when we wanted a more lucrative or like a more intensive website, we had to go to like hosting rather than just a website builder to be able to do it, because we needed to be able to upload our own files. And that was something that we were trading for the convenience of just having a website up.
And that costs us more money for that feature, right? Like we went from I think it was WordPress. I'm not big on the website. I think it's some type of WordPress template or something that we were using where we had pretty good capabilities considering it was drag and drop and fill in some text boxes. It looked really good. Like that was a great start. So good job, GoDaddy. Your website engine is pretty cool. I don't know if that's one that just comes with WordPress. I don't know. But on the GoDaddy experience, it was not horrible. Yeah. But eventually we reached a point where we want to add this JavaScript file, or we want to do this with the website, or we want to actually get in and, class the divs and do some different CSS stuff. And that was an available option on our platform. So, or on the subscription that we had. So we had to upgrade. So then, we incur additional costs there. And that's something to take into consideration. That's a really good point.
Yeah, like you might be able to still get that convenience through it, but it might cost you more, or you might have to end up changing plans later to continue with the growth that you are personally having as the company.
Yeah. One of the other things is to consider, and this is where I will give GoDaddy a negative review, only because getting off of their platform is dang near impossible. I've had several friends that started with GoDaddy just like we did, and I knew this was here. I made the choice to go with GoDaddy anyway because it was super easy. But getting off them, like as your business grows, and all of Atmosoft's Azure AD is tied to GoDaddy, so we would basically kind of have to start a new organization in the Azure space. Everything's all tied together, and getting off of GoDaddy would be a challenge. It's not impossible, but it will be a super challenge. That's something else to take into consideration. If you think about, we're going to migrate all of our business over to like a PCMI, right? You got to take into consideration, once you're in, especially if getting in there took you months or years to do. Right.
Yeah.
And you're in, like, you're not going to just all of a sudden be like, I don't like this, I want out. That's another year plus.
They're kind of locked in.
Yeah. And it's called vendor lock. Actually, there's a term for it. And that is one of the things that we try very hard from a development as a service company, not to burden our clients with, to become vendor locked with us. I want your business, and I want you to do business with me because you want to do business with me. When we are done with a project or a feature or upgrade or an integration, you will know everything I have done, and anyone on your team who needs information will have the information to understand exactly what we did. If you want to go to a different provider, maybe you're in Azure and you want to hire, which we can do AWS too, but let's just pretend like we can't. You want to be in AWS for whatever reason, because it allows you to integrate easier with some other backend system, maybe that you're purchasing from Amazon or something like that. And we didn't have the capabilities of the resources available. We want you to be able to go to somebody else, like, immediately. So vendor lock is something we take very seriously, but that becomes a lot harder when your whole business is hosted on their infrastructure. You're basically marrying somebody, for lack of a better word.
Well, it's like when you think about a one-stop shop, you're like, wow, that's so convenient, so nice. But then it's like, oh, because I'm not going anywhere else, or because I don't have other realms where I have to go for certain pieces of my business, then that means that now that one-stop shop is also all you have. Because with our GoDaddy situation, like, our emails are tied to it, like our memberships for like our Microsoft 365 are tied to it. So like now, if we wanted to separate from that completely, we now have to find all these separate applications that maybe don't do the one-stop shop, and then like have a cart of them rather than just one place for it all.
Yeah, I had a person, or one of my friends I worked with, his name's Dr. Sam Alessi, and great guy. And he was on GoDaddy to start, and then he started realizing how entrenched he was with them, and so he took it took him like 7 months. To get off, and all the phone calls with support, and all the DNS transfers, and all the email transfers, and repurchasing everything from Microsoft. It was a big deal. That's something to consider when you're doing a deep integration, or you're moving to someone else's platform. What if the company goes out of business? Right?
Well, you need to have your own files somewhere else for yourself. Like, you cannot rely on them for that reason. And the other thing that I was thinking about was, at least for me, in my experience, a lot of these like places where you need to do one-stop shops, like, you still need to be somewhat technologically savvy. And some people who are like not wanting to be a development company might have a hard time with that. And that's another place where we, as development as a service, can come in, because if you need a UX UI designer to help you put together a site, or if you need a developer just to help you write code so that you can get things integrated and get the API from one thing connected to the other thing, That's where we step in. We help make your integration or your transfer or your migration easier. So it's
Yes.
not as much of a headache and hopefully even takes less time.
Yeah. And that would be a pure consultant engagement, right? Like we would be there more in an advisory capacity, and I think that's a great feature that we offer too. A lot of companies do, where we can come in and be like, okay, these guys are telling you this, and from our experience, it's not going to be 100% that. Like, you need a plan, and you need to take these things, and we're what is it called? Not an arbitrator, but we're a third party that doesn't have a vested interest in this. So the advice you're going to get from us is probably technical advice. Is probably going to be better than what you're going to get from the company that's trying to get you to purchase their product, right?
Yeah.
Like we're not, whether the deal goes through or not, we don't have any skin in the game.
Yeah. What did you say, Brian?
I said we're an unbiased third party.
Yeah. It helps that we're not trying, like, we are getting your money, but it's for a different way of just helping you rather than we don't have a vested interest in whether or not you move over to that different application or not. So we can help you like understand if it's going to benefit you maybe as much as you thought or help clarify certain technological things. We also have data analysis experts who can help migrate with data and work with your data that way too. So like we have like the full package if you ever need assistance in something like that.
Yeah, we have two of our consultants are currently deployed doing a massive migration. I mean, it's not the biggest migration in the world, but we're talking about almost a terabyte of data that's needs to be transformed. It has to provide historical data and current data. It's a pretty good data migration project. So we have a lot of deep experience in that area, and I've done a few myself, mostly with the government, where we're moving large volumes of data around, like hundreds of gigabytes, terabytes of different types of data that we needed to figure out how to consume. So, yeah.
Is there anything else that anyone wants to say before we close this out?
No. Oh, actually, I should probably explain the birthday bash. Today is my birthday.
I was going to say that in closing. I was going to be like, today is Bill's birthday, so make sure to say happy birthday to him. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Happy birthday. You can DM me anytime. I'm getting closer and closer to 50.
The golden age.
Yeah, I know, right?
Okay.
So.
Well, thank you both. Oh, we got a happy birthday.
Thank you, Roly-Poly.
Thank you both for sharing your perspective on integration. It's clear that it's not just a tech buzzword, but a fundamental aspect of software development. That's it from us today, though. Join us next time when we explore tech topics on Tech Talk with Atmosoft. And remember, stay curious and stay integrated.
Amen. All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.